So apologies for the lack of video last week, life just getting in the way, and we are temporarily back on the Esprit. So one of the jobs that I've been avoiding doing because I knew how annoying it was going to be was removing the heater. This had never been plumbed back in when the V6 conversion was done by the previous owner, and I wasn't entirely sure why, and wanted to make sure that I didn't have a failed heater core or whatever. So this lives obviously underneath the dashboard. You can see there's a big access hole there. You know what, let's put another set of lights on. There we go. So you can see the big access hole. There's a little metal bracket on the centre tunnel there where it bolts down, and there is this bit of moulded plastic through which the wiring loom passes. That's quite a job to unthread the loom from. So this bit of plastic is held in with a mixture of silicone and self-tappers and has to be sort of pulled back and folded around the end of the heater. Then the heater will only come out from under the dashboard with the crossbeam removed, and that's what you can see on the floor here. So this has 3 bolts at either end, bracket there for the steering column, and underneath it is the bonnet release lever, and this bolts on the back of the beam. And I was following somebody else's guide that seemed to suggest you could get the heater out without removing the beam. It's possible you can on a left-hand drive car, you can't on a right-hand drive. And whether I needed to unbolt the release mechanism, it wasn't difficult to do. But anyway, with the beam out, it still takes a bit of finagling to get it out, and all the time you're crouched in a fairly compact space, and I just didn't want to have to deal with having a camera in there. So you're getting an aftermath report. There's a bunch of the ducting. An interesting item is the water valve, because it's actually a temperature compensated water valve. There's your control cable. It's a fairly conventional sort of a valve, except that it has a thermostat bulb clipped just above the heater core, and this can modify the opening of the water valve. So at the moment, with everything cold, if I operate the lever, can't do that one-handed, it'll open the valve from 0 to 100%, and then presumably as everything heats up, in this end you can see that little plunger there will operate on the end of this mechanism, which is part of the scissor mechanism, and will actually shut the water flow down so that you don't end up overheating. So I don't know how effective the heaters are. It's a slightly, to my mind, odd setup in that this is cold air. These are cold air, so these are the ones that go into the centre console vents or into the higher vents on slightly later cars. The 2 vents either side are the face level fresh air vents. The heater core is in here. These large ones run up to the demist vents, and then the small ones on the top have a length of pipe coming down into the footwell, and there are a couple of control flaps. This one shuts off these fresh air vents, but not these ones. And the upper control flap, which is controlled by this mechanism over here, shuts off the footwell vents, so that's when you get maximum air to the demist. So that flap is mechanically operated from here via this cable, but then you've got two cam operated vacuum valves, one of which operates this diaphragm and the other one operates this diaphragm, and this is your fresh air or recirculation flap. So in its current position, it's in the fresh air position, and it vents into a shroud that goes on the bulkhead here, and then you've got your blower motors here, and there's the blower motor housing, and up on the bench are the two blower motors, and both of these were completely seized. This one is relatively free running now, but this one will barely move. Replacement blower motors are £200 each, so I'm going to have to devise a way of getting the squirrel cage blower fans off the shafts without breaking them, and then see if we can service those motors. Or I may look at finding a complete blower motor assembly, an aftermarket that could be used on there. That's kind of where we are at the moment. I really must get around to checking the tooth pattern on the differential and getting the gearbox all buttoned up, because after I've done a few more tasks on here, the engine and gearbox are going to have to come out again. The clutch and everything needs to go in. I'm still looking at this lever is for the crossgate mechanism, and would originally have run a cable, a push-pull cable, from this bracket here, but obviously there's now a starter motor in the way. When the conversion was done, the cable ran to a bracket over here, so at quite a awkward angle, and I'm not happy with the free play, the backlash in the push-pull cable. The original one was absolutely trashed, but the replacement cable has got more slop in it, so I've probably done a previous video on the modification I made to the gear lever to give it a push-pull operation, sorry, a twin-pull operation with opposed cables, rather than a push-pull on a single cable. They've got some ideas. I need to get the car back up in the air so I can get properly underneath it and get on with solving that problem. But I think that's all for now. I mentioned in a previous video I want to get the power drawbar on the mill, but I'm just holding off on that at the moment, and I may end up just putting the top end of the mill on with a new belt, because it's not a big job to get it off again. So hopefully some more progress soon.